Brings me to today's message that God is now on a different vein. What the word He gave today, and His word He's been giving us for quite a while, that because men are hardening their hearts and stiffing their necks, He is going to do nothing but pour out His judgments. This is all I'm going to preach. This is all we're talking about these days, because this is what God's doing. He hasn't stopped doing supernatural miracles. He has not stopped saving, but He's going to start punishing people that's rebelling like hell. And I'm not going to get into all that too deep with you for the things we know, what we've seen, but I want to bring this message across that there is great opposition now to what we're saying on the punishments of God from the dead church people that don't believe God has a right to punish people. Well, I'd like to know, who in the hell are you to tell God what He can and cannot do? That's what I'd like to know. When people write us and say, I don't believe in your type of bully God. I don't care if you believe in a bully God or not. God is going to punish people. Brings me to what I want to bring you updated with two things here that He has just spoke to us 2 days ago. And these things were spoke to us. The first thing was spoke to us about 20 years ago. He gave my wife and I a word about the day would come in America when there would be bodies stacked up in this country that nobody would bury them. They'd be stacked up like cords of wood and be rotting. Now, He never said what was going to transpire to bring that about. He didn't say it was going to be a plague. He didn't say it was going to be a war. He didn't say. He just said it was going to be. We received that same word again yesterday, I think, or the day before. That He told us again, more emphatic, that the day is coming, it's right around the corner, it's going to happen real soon, that this country will see dead bodies stacked up where nobody will bury them. You say, well, I don't believe that. I don't care if you believe it or not. I'm telling you what God's told us. Okay? That's one thing He said, and I grant you, you will see that in this country. And why is that going to happen? It's going to happen because men are rebellious. Men will not obey God. Men will not go for it. I'm talking about civil people in the non-Christian and the supposed Christians. They have hardened their heart terrible against God. So God is going to bring an end to that. And then the second thing He said, I don't know how many years ago He said the second thing, it was later on, about there is going to be some nations that cease to exist. He told us that yesterday, that this nation, America, is going to cease to be a nation. He told us emphatically yesterday that He is going to break this nation up and it will not be a nation anymore. And I just got through writing on that, and it's because of the murder of the unborn, and it's because of changing God's eternal marital laws to filthy, perverted laws. The government and the church has just done that. Both have sanctioned the unborn murder, and they certainly have sanctioned the same-sex marriage, to where your president has made it a law of the land. At least he's trying to get it all across right now, and even taking it to the UN, that this country is no longer going to honor marriage between a male and a female. It's going to be between a man and a man and a woman and woman. That is tampering with God's eternal miracle laws, and that is upsetting God terribly. He says, they are breaking up my marriage, I will break up this nation. Now, I'm saying this on tape. But I want people to understand what I'm saying and what God's saying, and I don't care if you think I'm false. I don't care what you think of me. You watch and see what God does. Some of you skeptics out there didn't believe me years ago when I said all this is going to come about, and it's already here. People thought I was crazy to believe there's going to have same-sex marriage and do all this stuff. They said it'll never happen here. We're a Christian nation. It's already here. Now, they have the first book out, and I have a clipping of it right here on queer theology. Now, that's all settled thanks to your black president, mahogany president, and his crazy pinkiness. I'm talking about Obama, the crazy idiot that he is. And I don't mind telling you that man is insane. Thanks to him and a few others that helped along the way, but he's the man that's done it, that he's allowed all this sexual perversion to come to the forefront. He's trying to push that this will be a universal law, that same-sex marriage will be higher, not just equal, but higher than heterosexual marriage.
To the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application. Folks haven't been reading the Bible.
Because he's a man of, now, compassion. Don't you feel like swooning, ladies? Okay. Stacks of bodies, nations cease to exist. Now I know, and I taught this in the 90s, that the one world people, and I'm not going to get into all the conspiracies, but they've already divided America up, and I think it's 8 or 10 sections already. I've already got a map of it. I already taught them this. You know, there's 4 or 5 states in this section, 4 or 5 in this section. They divided all the 50 states up in sections by the people that are going to destroy America. They've already got it laid out. God says, they're not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Because I was asking him about that. He said, no, they're not going to do this. I'm going to break this nation up. They're not going to do this. Whether he uses them and their plan, he is still behind it, or whether he bypasses all that and does something entirely different from what they have planned to do, it's going to happen anyway. He is going to break this nation up. It will no longer be United States of America. It will be this United States of America, and probably the name America will not even be there either. He didn't tell us anything more than that, how it's going to be. He just said it will be. So, I want to bring those two things up to you because I've heard them twice in the last 20 years. And trust me, I know when God tells us something, they do come to pass in His timing. Now, on this little thing I have here, I could bring you thousands of little articles, but this just came out here in the mail. It says, the church, they got a book out called Queer Theology. It's called Radical Love. And the man that wrote this, there's a long article, but I'll just highlight some of it. Virginia Mollicott, some of you may not know who this super lesbian is, but she is a pink crazy too. She sit on all the boards of Bible boards, to write Bibles and put their footnotes in it, and she's the World Council of Churches. She's involved in all this stuff. She is, a professor of theology, whatever the hell that means. But anyway, she's a super lesbian, and this is what she says about this book. It just came out. They're all braggadocious about it. It gives a whole list here of all the people endorsing. They're all professors of some big something. They're all queers or pro-queers. There's not one straight person mentioned here. Well, I didn't expect to find that. But it goes, here's what she says about this book called Radical Love. A love so extreme that it dissolves our existing boundaries. She may think that homosexuality or all these perverted things, can eradicate the boundaries. God has still got a boundary up, whether they believe it or not. And I just would tell Mrs. Mollicott she's full of it. Just because she claims it doesn't mean God is going to knock boundaries down. They don't exist anymore. There's still an existing boundary that is still a damned abomination. And I'm using the word damned abomination. Homosexuality, lesbianism, all the stuff that's connected with it, all that kinky transgender garbage. There's still a boundary there between God and Satan. Okay? She says, what concept could be more liberating for a culture like ours? Talking about the United States of America. Now this is the mindset. This is just coming out in the papers. This is just in April. Here we are. Today is Easter. And this is already in the papers. Already they're bragging about this book. It's a great book out there. And then it says, where lives are crucified on rigid binaries, like binaries means like opposites, kind of like, like she's got it here what it means, like male versus female, us versus them, straight versus queer. She said all that's going to disappear. Well, good for you, Mrs. Queer. It's not going to disappear. I'm here to protest that. I am a Protestant and I'm protesting it is not going to disappear. I am not going to accept their filthy queer theology. I don't care if they wrote a stinking stack of books that would reach to heaven and back. This woman and all these liberal theologians are full of Satan. I've written all these crazies. I've sent them our homo books. Not one person ever says, Jim Green, you're crazy. They can't even give me one scripture proving their supposed facts they got on it. And I've asked them for it. Well, maybe they don't think I'm big enough. Maybe I have to be like Billy Graham or somebody to get a response. Radical Love is an excellent introduction for beginners and an excellent synthesis for more advanced readers, said Virginia Mollicott, author of Sensuous Spirituality. You know what that means, sensuous spirituality. Poke your people. Poke an object up a ladies, you know what? Stuff. Got it?
I have to thank my incredible wife, Tammy, and our 4 children, Beckett and Bailey and Johnny Rosen Miller. And
I don't go
everyone
for
I've ever...
Get her off my show. I don't care what her name is. I don't like a woman married to a woman. It makes me want to puke. How's that? I want to vomit when I hear it. I think it's child abuse. That's my opinion. One man's opinion. If it's illegal, tell me it's illegal to have an opinion in America. Maybe I can be excommunicated for having an opinion. I want to puke when I hear about a woman married to a woman raising children because, frankly, I think that it's child abuse to do that to children without their permission. What does a child know? Ask them when they're 16 whether they want to be raised by 2 lesbians or 2 men. What are the 2 men doing behind the other wall? You think the children don't hear it? You know, everything's sanitized for you. Islamofascism is sanitized. You don't know what they really do? Go on my website. You'll see what they really do to people. You'll hear the holler and the scream of people dying. You want to know what homosexuals do with each other? You don't have to guess. You can figure it out. What are you people, crazy? What world do you live in? Every day brainwashing till you don't know the difference between right and wrong, family and a fake family, real science and morons who are on drugs inventing science fiction that is. You don't know anything anymore in this country. You've been brainwashed by the liberal elite, the establishment, if you want to call them elite. How can you call drug addicts elite? Portland, Oregon. Ralph, KXL, you're on this. Reality is. You can't tell a child what reality is? Maybe in a few years you won't be able to tell your child that. Maybe they could turn you in like in Nazi Germany. Mommy told me that two women are not normal. Maybe the police will come and take your child away in a few years if these scum-sucking vermin continue this brainwashing garbage. Everywhere I turn, I've never seen anything like it. From the high to the low, from the top to the bottom, from east to west, the vermin are brainwashing all of you all the time. I am one of a few, and there are some really good people out there with the last bridge of reality. Us, we.
That's what this dirty pervert's talking about. I'm going to get right down funky with these monkeys because they are perverted. These people are sick. They're mentally sick. There's not a scripture in the Bible that backs up such filthy sex acts as these people perform, and they call it God. It's godless, friends. Well, she says, she's written several books here. I've looked at some of her books. I wouldn't give you 15 cents for all of them. It includes the LGBT, queer, you know, the lesbian, the gay, bisexual, transgender, queer. It's all that theology stuff out there. And then this article raves on all these people. They give little blurbs here or what it's all about. You know, they're just wetting on themselves and falling over each other's saliva, talking about how great this book is because they finally got a theology book on queer. It's finally in print. It's finally out there. It's finally settled in this nation that this nation is a nation of queers. It is no longer a godly nation. It is a nation of queers. That's what they're talking about. We've got our theology, and it comes directly out of the Bible. What Bible? When you can't give me one scripture, dear one, not one, proving your facts, and you can't give me one scientific, answer to my question, show it to me, prove it to me. Business. It don't exist. It exists in their pink, crazy minds. This queer theology. So, thank you, Mr. Obama. Thank you, George Bush. Thank you, Bill Clinton. And it goes on back to all these people that have, little by little, helped these queers get their theology. And thank you, all you liberal, stinking churches that have finally got your queer theology. Now you can slip and slide all over the vomit and wallow in this stuff all you want. Why don't you write a thesis on feces, because it'd be just as good as queer theology. Filth, flies, and feces. I could write a book on that. Would it sell? Probably would. Since some of you people eat this kind of stuff out there in queer land. Oh, General. Don't give me old General stuff. You know it's true. They don't even deny it anymore.
Two women are not normal. Maybe the police will come and take your child away in a few years if these scum-sucking vermin continue this brainwashing garbage.